This is a guide for people who aren't quite on the level of pros. Maybe our aim isn't the cleanest, or weapon swapping isn't the fastest, but we can hang in Nightmare well enough to think that Ultra Nightmare is still an attainable goal. I'm not going to be displaying any particularly fancy tricks, I'm just designing my path to try and maximize my odds of a successful run. Hopefully this can help somebody else out there get their golden shotgun. In order to maximize your odds, you're going to want to enter the level with full resources. Ultra Nightmare obviously doesn't allow you to carry extra lives over from whatever save file you're using, but it does carry over your current inventory from the last time you saved. This means if you're not full up on Crucible charges, you should load into Urdak and zip to this location, then do some platforming until you hit a checkpoint. BFG ammo is trickier. I don't know the fastest way to acquire a cell without doing half of an entire level, but the preparation I think is worth it. The opening to this level is nothing to get too excited about, just try to complete it with as close to a full stack of health and armor as possible, and don't be too wasteful with your ammo. If you've used too much, just backtrack a bit and pop some barrels. Just be aware that you're only going to get one more bite at them since they're scripted to explode as you walk by already. There's a fair number of heavy demons in this introductory fight, and we're early enough that dying isn't very painful. This is just to get your feet wet. There's little that should overwhelm you in this room. To start with, a cyber demon is at the end of the hallway right when you start, who will be joined by arachnotrons that will spawn in behind him. Because you should be close to full ammo, you should immediately destroyer blade him and the fodder in front of him and burst him down with your quickest weapon combos. It'd be wasteful to use a super weapon here, so I don't recommend it. Once he's down, eliminate the arachnotrons, but do not leave the hallway until you do, because leaving triggers 2 cacodemons to spawn in the larger room. These 2 are trivial to get rid of when the arachnotrons aren't pressuring you, but you should do it quickly because when the arachnotrons die, they cause 2 barons to spawn. You have an immense amount of room to deal with the barons and with the Dread Knight and Hell Knights who spawn when they die. I chainsawed the Dread Knight here because my ammo was finally running low, but be careful. You don't want to do this on the platform he spawns on because it has a fuel pickup that we want to save for later. Once the Knights are gone, you'll start getting carcasses and revenants, a good amount of them. Stay on high ground and keep moving, and the rest of the fight shouldn't be a big problem. You're free to chainsaw fodder from here on, but again, save that fuel pickup for later. Trigger the demons in the next hallway, then back up to lock on burst the Dread Knight. You'll notice I'm sticky bombing tentacle holes, something I'm going to keep doing for the rest of the run. Freeze cheese the Cybermank, recollect the rockets you'd spent on the Dread Knight, and move up. When you jump from the wall at the apex, release a sticky bomb at the ledge to remove the tentacular threat, then proceed to the big carcass room. Id's favorite new trick since Ancient Gods 1 came out seems to be to have infinitely respawning carcasses. I recommend destroying the blood totem first, being careful to avoid or sticky bomb the tentacle hole just before you do so, and then start killing carcasses. Take full advantage of the barrels and the ammo they drop, and remember that a point-blank super shotgun blast is enough to kill them from full health, and a blood punch will send them into a glory kill state for a free kill as well. Once you've killed enough of them, 4 Hell Knights will spawn on the level you're not currently on. In my experience, it's best to spawn them on the upper level, because they seem to have a hard time chasing you if they're on the lower level. Backpedal and rocket lock these chumps. Don't feel bad about burning the ammo, because the areas that you're about to unlock from this room have a ton of rockets to pick up. If the carcasses are cooperative, they'll follow you up, and you can permanently get rid of them once the Knights are gone. Head outside if you need supplies, there's 2 rockets out there after all, and judge for yourself which of the armor pickups you need, keeping in mind that a Dread Knight will spawn when you get the least valuable pickup for some reason. The previously dormant tentacle hole is now active, so don't let it surprise you, then head upstairs and grab rockets if you need them. This next fight is a lot less scary than it looks. Stay on high ground and lob stickies at the mecha zombies before dropping down and thinning them out. When you hear slithering, get ready for 2 Spectre whiplashes. I like to kill them with dumbfire rockets, but you could switch to remote detonation and that would probably work even better. Freeze them if you're really worried about them, or set them on fire to track them easier in the fog, but once they're down, a Marauder will spawn. Stay on the outside of the arena and move if mecha zombies are putting the Marauder in the crossfire, and he should go down like any other. Use the remaining mechas to top up your resources, and then collect the room's gas can for 2 pips. If you've saved the first arena's gas can, it's time to collect it. If you happen to be low on health or armor, there's a soul sphere where the rune is in the normal level. This arena starts with no fewer than 5 cyber mancubi, and they're all spread out enough that you'll have to deal with all of them individually until they get moving. I like to beeline for the leftmost one using the standard Ice Bomb Blood Punch Super Shotgun combo, previously referred to as Freeze Cheese. If you head inside afterward, there will usually be a second cybermank taking potshots at you down the hallway. Plop a grenade at his feet, then punch his armor off and he'll drop quickly thereafter. Eliminating these 2 big boys causes a Pain Elemental duo to spawn in the middle of the arena. I prefer dealing with them before finishing the cyber mancubi because they're a lot better at following the player than the manks. It's here where you can and should make use of your triple chainsaw fuel. Feel free to use it on a Pain Elemental or Mancubus, whatever gets in your way first. Once all the Manx and Elementals are dead, a half-ring of 5 Cacodemons spawns all around the Gore nest. I heavily recommend killing them as quickly as possible because you don't want them sneaking up on you when dealing with the 3 Barons that spawn shortly thereafter. Arbalest or grenades in the mouth. The Barons are the last heavy demons to spawn in this fight. Just keep moving and they won't be a problem. The arena is too big for them to really get in your face. This arena, unlike others, doesn't end until all the fodder is dead, so keep a sharp eye out for imps and zombies scurrying around. Importantly, if you don't use your BFG on this fight, and I don't recommend that you do not open up the area where the secret album is on the regular campaign. It contains a BFG cell, but I've had runs where I open it up on a whim and leave the BFG cell there, only for it to be gone when I come back later. It will always be there if you leave the opening unbroken. Enter this next room and immediately turn around when you walk over the armor shards to waste the first tyrant with burst damage. This is also the room where I use my first crucible charge, turning it on the second tyrant and leaving only the Doom Hunter and 2 infinitely respawning carcasses. Kill the carcasses only if they're really in your way or you need the resources, because the Doom Hunter takes priority here. Abuse the 2 zombies to recharge your resources and then move on. If you use the Crucible, remember to backtrack to the first Crucible charge on the mall before dropping down, as you won't be able to come back until the level's almost done. This room is just bait to make you appreciate the combat shotgun. Either of the mods for this gun utterly obliterates everything in this room, and you should leave at or near full health and armor because of the ability to flame belch entire waves. The buff totem will lose its shield shortly after the gargoyles start spawning. Try to collect the gas can when you're already at 1 pip, because it'll be important for the next fight. Once you drop down, you'll get another gas can. Entering the next room shuts the door behind you and spawns a Marauder. A few seconds after the fight begins, or after you damage him enough, 2 Arachnotrons will spawn. I recommend deleting one of them with the chainsaw and bursting down the other, leaving just the Marauder and 2 zombies to deal with. Abuse the teleporters if you're in a pinch, because none of the demons nor the ghost dog can follow you through them. I find this next fight to be quite challenging, so in the interest of just getting through it, this is where I use my first BFG shot. Start by popping the Cacodemons, then turn your attention to the Doom Hunter. You should have the resources and cooldowns to eliminate him quickly. Once he's down, you'll have a Dread Knight, Spectres, and 2 Cyber Mancubi to deal with, and in all likelihood, you've spent your Ice Bomb and at least 1 Blood Punch. Like I said, challenging, so because it's Ultra Nightmare, I fired the BFG from one end of the room to the other and the fight was over. If, unlike me, you remember to get your Crucible charge back, feel free to Crucible one of these Tyrants. There's a recharge right down the hallway. The only tentacles in the area are around the central pillar, and they die after the Tyrants do, so keep clear of the edges of the pillar and hop around the acid. There's a Rad Suit recharge near where you came in. A Pain Elemental drops down to say, "Hello, please shoot me in the face!" Oblige him and take the Soul Sphere if you need it before sniping the Lost Souls. If you stay up high, the Cacos will bunch up for Arbalest Splash quite nicely. Just remember to keep jumping to keep your Rad Suit from deteriorating. The only recharge is at the bottom of the pit. The fodder here will die when the last carcass does, so you might want to chainsaw before finishing it, but it's not too important. Be sure to pick up the BFG cell before you go. It's in the long secret hallway at the bottom of the pit. Get right up on this door because you can make a nice armor pile with the zombies in the banana hallway, and because the Spectres are horrible at getting inside. Shoot them in the face because, unlike Pinkies, they're not armored. Afterward, you only have 2 Cybermanks to deal with. The fog spawns and starts sweeping in, and it's even less of a problem than the first time. Kill the zombies, mecha and otherwise, until the Mancubus spawns, then kill him and go through his room to remove the buff totem. This room can be hair-raising. Lots of heavies and what feels like a lot more fodder than normal. It starts with 2 Arachnotrons that you should get rid of immediately before they're joined by a Pain Elemental. The Elemental's death seems to be the trigger to spawn 2 normal Mancubi. This lower part of the arena is large, but the only line of sight blocker is the central pillar and the elevation changes, so use those to your advantage if you're having trouble sniping off their cannons. The big boys will be immediately followed up by 2 cyber big boys, so get rid of them with your favorite method. Be wary of trying to falter them when they're jumping. With the terrain being so uneven, they'll jump a lot and you'll waste grenades. Bring out the destroyer blade once they're dead, because a Revenant firing squad is lining up across the chasm. If you charge up all the way and your aim is good, you can bisect the entire squad in one hit, or at least knock off all their cannons. It's immensely satisfying. Once the Revenants are dead or disabled, recharge a bit with the fodder before crossing the chasm. Landing on the other side triggers an Archvile to spawn past the first spinning chain. If you're quick, you can platform to him and annihilate him with a freeze lock-on combo. If you're not quick, like me, he can vanish to parts unknown. For me, he went into the building protected by the Revenants up there. Make your way up carefully because there's tentacles at the top. The Archvile's death triggers a Baron to Kool-Aid Man out of the next hallway and join the fight as long as you're upstairs. There's 2 gas cans in this arena, one in the lower section and one in the upper section that can help you get rid of a heavy demon in either this fight or the next. I think this next encounter is scary as hell, just something about Cacodemons in close quarters. Use stickies to clear your way into the next room, back up when the Mancubus plows in, and once he's dead, immediately head for the buff totem. The #1 threat is the cacodemons, so do everything you can to keep them controlled until the second totem spawns, and then get rid of it quickly. The carcasses and fodder will corral you quicker than you think, especially while the totems are up, so keep moving to avoid becoming a snack for cacodemons, and don't take the corners short. The last thing you want is to turn one and run directly into the jaws of a meatball. Once you reach the top of this climbable wall, turn around and take pot shots at the whiplashes, but don't get cocky. I've been hit with their shockwave attack even at this elevation. Standing here just makes it easier, not free. The remaining whiplashes will not be so easily baited, so you have to go downstairs to fight them normally. They're not too bad, just keep jumping and move on. You shouldn't need a guide for this room, just, do whatever you want. First things first, spend as much time in the air as possible to mitigate the slime. Run straight into the first Marauder's arms, because the second won't be fast enough to stop you from doing a cycle of damage on his partner. Dash past the first Marauder to stand on safe ground to do a second cycle, but don't stay there long because they can cut off your escape. Jump and dash, use the chain gun shield if you must to get past them and recharge your suit. From there, it's a simple matter of performing a combo on the first Marauder to take a swing at you, running past them afterward to recharge your suit and take whatever you need from fodder, and repeating. There's not much to this little bridge encounter, treat it as you did the first Cyber Demon in the level. Leave the fodder alive if you must and you need the resources, but they can get in your way. Behind him is a soul sphere anyway, and once you're done with him you can collect whatever you need from barrels or pickups that you've left over. The last serious fight in the level first spawns a number of arachnotrons around the perimeter of the room. Slide over to the Gore nest and snipe their cannons if you're wanting to play carefully, or just brawl them down. New resources have spawned in here for the last fight, including a BFG cell, a good number of rocket pickups, and more than one chainsaw fuel. Once you've killed enough arachnotrons, 3 revenants will spawn close together, making excellent destroyer blade bait if you can get them quick enough, or if they're cooperative. Once they're dead, it's Tyrant time, but don't bother with them yet, because last to spawn is a buff totem in the same spot every time next to the BFG ammo. Carcasses also join the fray, and as before, don't spend too much focus on them, they respawn infinitely. Once you've worn down enough Tyrants, 3 Archviles appear, and if you're lucky, 2 will be relatively close together. This is when I whipped out the BFG again. If you've been sparing in your use, you'll have up to 4 shots that you can use in this room, more than enough to wrap up this fight even without the Crucible. Use your super weapons here, because once this fight is done, you're home free. Don't get tilted if they successfully spawn in some demons, because as long as you're careful and you kill the Archviles first, you'll be fine. Once this fight is over, grab any resources you've left behind, like maybe a soul sphere, and head down to the escape sequence. As I said before, you're basically home free at this point. You'll have to do very little actual fighting. First thing, sticky bomb the imps that try to swarm you, then deal with the mancubus who jumps up in your face. Kill or leave him behind, it doesn't matter. Be sure to flame belch and grenade this zombie swarm, because they'll leave behind a pool of armor that you'll vacuum up from a great distance as you run. If you don't have a crucible charge here, don't bother fighting this tyrant, just run past him and his 2 friends with the chain gun shield up. You can see the armor pool I left behind getting pulled in as they shoot me. Swim, 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 and teleport to the end. Belch and blow up the zombies as you run by, and do 1 more chain gun shield to slip by the Marauders, and you've done it. If everything went well, you should be done with this level in under an hour. Enjoy your gold skin.
Yeah.